Alright, so this week's video is going to be a lot more relaxed. I wanted to do some sort of Q&A video. I've been getting quite a few questions from you guys from Discord, LinkedIn, and even on Instagram. And since I know most of you guys are in college or, within the ages of 18 to 25 maybe, I figured we could start off by talking about college. So for those of you who don't know me or are new here, welcome. My name is Ranesh and I graduated from a data science program not too long ago. Now I'm working full-time at a tech startup and doing the typical 9 to 5 stuff. From what I remember or recall, I was very intentful with the time I spent in school. When I was a freshman back in Malaysia, I was optimizing my studies to get good grades and a good GPA so that I could get this merit scholarship to the US. And that was my goal back then. And then after I got that scholarship and moved to the US, I optimized for landing a job or getting internships. I only really went to classes where I saw fit, and I didn't really try that hard in school to get a 4.0 or stuff like that. I maintained my GPA just to maintain my scholarship, but I spent a lot of my time looking for internships or job searching online. Yeah, like I said, I spent a lot of time doing courses outside of work, getting certifications, doing projects to put on my resume, stuff like that. Anything that I thought would be beneficial to helping me land a job. And at the time, I didn't think going to classes or getting a good grade would help really influence a company to want me or send me an offer. So yeah, I focus on skills like technical skills like building projects, making apps, making a portfolio, things like that, because I just felt like the ROI for that, for what I was looking to achieve, which was getting an internship or getting a related job to what I want to do in the future, it just made more sense for me at the time. So yeah, I didn't really go to class, and when I did go to class, it was for an exam or for mandatory attendance or stuff like that. I didn't really put in any more effort than I needed to just to get an A or whatever grade I was looking to achieve for that class. Yeah, it was just very bare minimum. My focus was not on studying, was not on learning to learn. It was more so learning to get a grade and learning enough on what I think would benefit me for my future career. My point here is that I spent so much time trying to optimize for that one thing that I might have just missed out on a lot of other opportunities. I was working 20 hours a week while taking 5 to 6 classes and also trying to apply to 5 to 10 jobs every single day. Anyway, eventually I heard back from a couple companies, got some interest here, got a couple offers there, and I started reflecting on a couple semesters that I spent in the US, or just semesters in general, where I was hyper productive for a certain goal or trying to optimize for a certain thing, where I just closed a couple doors and just narrowed or put myself in a box and not really let myself experience the experiences that would have come if I allowed myself more freedom to achieve other things. So yeah, I graduated magna cum laude in under 4 years for a 4-year degree program with no student debt, thanks to the support of my parents and scholarships that I got, which is nice. However, I think if I just took an extra semester to give myself that freedom and flexibility to explore more, I would have probably come out of college with a lot more knowledge, a lot more lessons, a lot more, life experience, I guess, which is neat. I guess this is a subjective opinion because a lot of people, like myself, want to get out of college as soon as possible. That was my goal from the start. I just saw college as a stepping stone to get to where I wanted to be. However, I think towards the end of my college career, I really understood and took in the benefits of being in college. A lot of people would say that they would rather stay in college if they had the choice, my wife being one of them. They love studying, they love learning, and structured organization like a college or university is some place that they can do that for however many years they want. And I think that's nice, and I think everyone should experience something like that. But then on the other side of the coin, there's people like me who just want to get out of college as soon as possible, start working, start building my own life without any restrictions of stepping stones that I need to get over, have more control of what I get to do, which I think was my biggest problem with college. But towards the end of the college experience for me, I felt like there was a lot of freedom there that I just didn't experience because I was trying to optimize for grades. I was trying to optimize for a GPA. I was trying to optimize to get a job or land an internship. So technically I was boxing myself in this box, not letting myself experience all these unique mistakes that I could be making, all these unique experiences that I could be experiencing and stuff like that. Just because I wanted to meet certain goals or, have a full-time job by graduation or, have a couple internship experiences in the bag so I could put on my resume and stuff like that. So yeah, all these goals that I have set for myself, it's great, but it also limited myself in other areas like, understanding the value of external classes, non-technical classes, behavioral classes like art classes and stuff like that. But yeah, maybe if I took some time to attend certain classes with an open mind and focused on learning to learn, not really learning or studying to optimize for a grade or GPA or some sort of academic goal, I would have had a different experience, maybe more unique or better experience. I know for sure that I would have the ability to be more present, less distracted, less hyper productive. I don't know what word to use here. I'm using hyper productive because that's how I feel. But there's this book by Cal Newport. It's called Slow Productivity, I think, and it's a great book. It describes exactly what I'm talking about very well. So check that out if you are interested in understanding how I feel, at least, or just understanding the differences between hyperproductivity and slow productivity and their benefits. It's something I wish I read sooner, just so I could be awoken or realize this, came to this realization a lot sooner. So yeah, that's a good book I recommend to those of you who are interested in, not being so not trying to optimize for every single aspect of your life, not trying to get every inch of your life to a certain goal or to reach a certain stepping stone or whatever it may be. And yes, right now, after having graduated from college and making the mistakes that I made, all the lessons that I've learned, I do still think college is kind of a stepping stone. It's like a box that you have to check, but that doesn't mean that you should go into college with a limited mindset or close yourself in a box and not get to experience all the unique and fun experiences that you can in that 4 years or 4.5 years that you're in college. Yeah, I think that limiting mindset kind of shot myself in the foot, and I wouldn't say ruined my experiences, but definitely didn't allow me to get the full benefit of paying however much I paid or my parents paid or the scholarships came to get the full ROI from that investment. I would say if I were to go back and do it again, I would definitely take a couple more classes in different areas, non-technical areas like behavioral areas, social studies, art classes. I had a really good time in one of my elective art classes. I think the professor there had a unique experience and unique opinion on certain topics that I really look forward to learning from. I would have probably did more research work. I think research is amazing, and I think it's super useful, at least where I am now. So yeah, if I had a couple more semesters in school, I would definitely have looked at more research work and understanding the fundamentals of working in education, just because everything ties back to learning and education. So yeah, if I were to do it all again, I would definitely tell my younger self to be more open-minded and be more cognizant of the present instead of always optimizing for the future. That'd probably be the one piece of advice that I would tell my younger self. So if you guys are freshmen or sophomore or just entering college or university, take that into account, I guess, when trying to get good grades or trying to ace a class, get a 4.0, land an internship in your freshman year. All these things are great, but there's also there's always another story. There's always another experience that you could get. If you don't get your internship in your first year, you could probably volunteer somewhere, work at a kids camp. You could, I don't know, teach a class, take a course, take a certification. There's so many things that you could do that would give you maybe a different approach or a different experience than someone who just went through the traditional route and got 3 internships, got a 4.0, graduated magna cum laude, and got a full-time job after. There's a lot of diversity that companies are looking for right now that I notice, at least. Like my company specifically, we like candidates who don't come from a technical background because they bring in a unique experience. And they can answer questions or ask or see things that we don't really see. So that's just a take that I have, and hopefully that will help some of you out. So yeah, like I said before, I think college or school in general is meant to teach you how to learn and not really give you all the answers of what comes next. The next question I want to cover is probably the most common question I get, and I think I answer this question in almost every single video or talk about it. It's a very big question. It's how to land a job or internship or research position or something of the sort. I get this almost every single video on Discord, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and I think it's valuable to talk about it, but it's also super complex that I can't sum it up into a segment of a Q&A video. So I have made other videos talking about these topics, and I'll leave them down below and tagged all around the video. But I think there's a couple steps that you should follow for any job search. If it's an internship, a full-time job, or a research position, the steps are kind of sequential. They're kind of the same across the board. Maybe you have unfair advantages if you are in school studying in a college that you can apply to a research position directly with a professor that you know, or maybe a friend that you know who works there. You could ask for a referral. That's one thing I would look at. But if it's an internship or a full-time job, chances are you're probably going to be looking at job boards like LinkedIn or Glassdoor or Indeed or Handshake, stuff like that. And you're going to be competing against thousands of people. So what I see and what I notice is that referrals, again, always work best because it's a way you can get your foot through the door instantly and beat the crowd. So if you have anyone you know or network with companies or people within specific companies, especially hiring managers, if you know a hiring manager, if you know a coworker who has connections with the hiring manager, that will give you an unfair advantage that a lot of other people won't have. But let's say you don't have any referrals, you don't have any networks that can get you referrals. I would start looking at applying to targeted positions. So let's say you're looking for an internship in data science. Look at the skills you have. Like, what projects have you done? What skills do you have in terms of technology? Are you more research-based or educational-based or finance-based, whatever your niche might be? What languages do you know? Maybe you know Python, or maybe you know SAS. And healthcare industry targets SAS more than they do Python, from my understanding. So yeah, stuff like that is what I would look at. Try to find niche or niches that you fit in and then target those jobs. Another thing I want to point out is rejections. When you're looking for a job, you're going to get rejected, or at least most people do. So be aware of that, be cognizant of that. It's not a reflection of your performance. Most of the time, it's just an automatic rejection from an ATS scan, which is an application tracking system. And these rejections come from a number of reasons. Maybe you're just not qualified, maybe your resume is formatted poorly, or there's typos, or maybe there's just a better candidate. So there's a number of reasons why you could be rejected, but chances are, if you're being rejected before getting an interview or a phone screen, it's probably just the ATS scan that rejected you because you don't have enough experience, your resume is in a bad format, you have typos, or you're just not aligned for the job or the ideal candidate that they have. So my advice to you there is to reflect, look at your own resume, and look at the job description, compare it. If you do think you have enough to get through the door, then it's probably because you formatted your resume incorrectly, or didn't use the right words. Maybe you're not using the XYZ format, you're not bolding specific metrics, key metrics like conversion rates, ROIs, and stuff like that. Or maybe you just got overlooked. I don't know, it could be a lot of things, but chances are, if you're getting rejected before an interview or a phone screen, it's probably because of the ATS scan. So that would be my first step. If you don't have enough experience, there's a lot of ways to gain experience these days. My biggest advice for you would be to do projects. I'm a very, very big advocate for learning through application, and I think just doing the thing, whatever you're trying to get into, let's say you're trying to do data science, machine learning, you're trying to forecast stuff, just do the thing. Make a forecasting algorithm. You can use so many different types of algorithms like Sarima, Arima, Profit. There's so many out there. Use them, build your forecast. It could be a supply forecast, demand forecast, financial forecast, whatever it might be. Use that and then put it on your resume and portfolio, and then use that to find a job that requires forecasting as a skill. And obviously, forecasting alone is a very specific and niche skill. Chances are you're going to have to gain multiple other skills, and you will if you actually do the thing. Like, if you're going to go build a forecasting algorithm, you're going to have to collect data, clean data, process data, monitor the forecasting algorithm and stuff like that. So all these things, they kind of tie into each other. So just doing the thing is the biggest and best advice I think I can give you. If you don't have enough experience and you want experience, I know it's hard to get a job right now, or any other job or internship. So just do projects, like build apps. That's my biggest advice for you. Just build something and sell it. You don't have to financially sell it. By sell it, I mean sell it on your resume. Make it seem like you make it showcase the effort you put into making that app and what you learned. Truly sell yourself through the projects that you've been building. That's something I think is super underrated and a lot of people don't do. Like, they go and take weeks building the specific model that they showcase on Kaggle or their GitHub portfolio, but they don't really sell it on their resume. They don't talk about the benefits, the hard work you put into it, the mistakes you made, what you learned, how you improved it, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a big tip I think a lot of people just don't look at. If you are getting rejections from interviews and phone screens, which is still pretty common, I think you should take a step back and reflect on how you performed during that interview. It could be a technical question that you misanswered, or a behavioral question that you answered that did not fit their values or whatever it might be that you're looking for. It can be trickier because with interviews, you don't really get much feedback, which is why I strongly recommend everyone ask for feedback at the end of the interview. I tend to ask a feedback related question at the end of any interview just because I want to gain some sort of feedback or some sort of investment back from the time spent on the application. If you're taking all the math, you probably spend a couple hours a day on applications alone, preparing for interviews and stuff like that. So even if you don't get the job, at least getting that feedback is something that you can, write down or improve on or work on, just to increase your, success rate in the future. So highly recommend asking a question related to what you could have done better at the end of any interview. Word it in a way that, intrigues curiosity and makes them actually think and reflect on what you should have done or what you could have done, and reconsider you as an applicant altogether. So that's one of my best tips. But in terms of preparing for behavioral versus technical interviews, I think behavioral interviews are pretty straightforward. It's just pulling from your own experiences. There are methods like the STAR method that you could use to, present your experiences in a better format, like situation, task, action, and result. That's a pretty good method. But for technical interviews, I think the best way to actually ace those are just to practice. Like for software engineering, LeetCode is a great platform. Just do the thing again. Just keep practicing those algorithms, those tree structures, those stacks, those queues, those data structures and algorithms. And then for data science or data analytics interviews or technical interviews for other careers, you could use websites like datalemur.com, or Interview Query is a pretty good one. Or you could buy books like I think Cracking the Coding Interview is a pretty good book. I personally just like to do a lot of projects, and then since I have interview experience from interviewing other candidates within my field, I kind of know what questions they ask, and those questions tend to relate from other work experiences or projects that you do on your own. And I just think from an interviewer's perspective, if you went out and built a thing, that's way more impressive than working on a worksheet 10 times over and over again, memorizing the answers. So highly recommend doing projects. I know I keep saying this, but it's a big thing that people miss out on. So yeah, if you could work on a project, highly recommend it. It doesn't have to be big, it could be small, and then you work from there. So yeah. Generally though, I think most people who get rejections or get rejected are usually just lacking application volume. They need to apply to at least 400 jobs or 500 jobs, at least, even hear back from companies, just because they're probably not optimizing their resume for specific job descriptions and job postings, which is why I'm building this app. If you guys have been following, I documented the whole process on the channel to literally help that process, like make it super easy for you to customize your resume for each job that you're applying for, track that resume, job description, and also when you applied and stuff like that, all those metrics, just so you can be cognizant of what you did, where you went wrong, and how to fix it in the future. Hopefully you make less mistakes and improve your interview to application ratio and your offer rate, stuff like that. So yeah, I'll talk about that app more once it's more ready for you guys to use it. But there's other ATS scanners or application tracking systems that you can use. They're not the best right now. I don't think there's a solution that is ideal for job seekers, but there's a lot that you can work with online. There's websites that you can use to get an idea of where you stand in terms of your resume and the specific job description you're looking to land. So yeah, I highly recommend trying those out for right now. The other thing that I notice, a lot of people who just don't get interviews, they're probably not really working on themselves. So applications, when you're looking for jobs, it's an iterative process. You're constantly looking for jobs, and you're also constantly working on yourself. From my perspective, if you're looking for a job or if you're job searching, you also need to be working on yourself skills-wise and learning-wise while you're looking for that job, just because the market changes so rapidly. And if there's a new skill, new tool, or something that you're just not familiar with, and that you could spend 30 minutes a day, 1 hour a day learning that's gonna put you ahead of the crowd and make you stand out. So that's something I would look at too. So let's say recently Golang has been popping off, Next.js has been popping off, a couple new machine learning algorithms, new AI models have been popping off. So just like using those tools, or just trying to understand those tools and how they fit in a current workplace, can set you apart so much. Like from my experiences, implementing an LLM and my company, since it's new and all these things are still new, just taking some time in a week to learn about LLMs and how they work and how they can help your company or your business helped me out a lot. It helped me save a lot of time at work with specific tasks or specific tickets. It helped our support teams like customer support and driver support save a lot of time on unnecessary or repetitive questions that they get asked. So yeah, stuff like that can definitely set you apart. You just need to find out what to learn next. You just need to know what you don't know. Which is why actively looking for jobs and looking at job descriptions is super helpful, because you kind of know what you don't know if you're doing that regularly. So yeah, those are the two things that I think generally most people overlook when it comes to getting rejections and looking for a job. Also, I go in a lot more depth in all these other videos that I recommend. So check out the video I made recently about how to get an internship in 2024. That's probably the most updated one that I can think of. It goes through step by step what I would do if I was looking for an internship this year, and I think it worked for a couple of my friends and a lot of you guys who reached out and said you followed the steps and you got internship offers. Congratulations. So that actually is a great segue to the next thing I want to talk about: how to actually have a successful internship or something along those lines. Yeah, a lot of people reach out to me after already having secured an internship, which is great. They want to understand or learn how they can convert that internship to a return offer or a full-time position, or maybe even just gain as much value or experience as they can from that internship. I think those are great questions. Again, success from an internship can vary heavily depending on the person. Again, for those of you who don't know, I'm currently a full-time data scientist at a tech startup, and I was an intern there for about 3 months before converting to a full-time position. So yeah, I guess I can share some experiences or my unique experiences on how that helped me. Yeah, I think the first step and probably the most important step is defining what a successful internship is to you. For me at the time, it was number one, to provide value or impact, to gain as much experience or knowledge as I could from that internship. I knew I was working with a lot of smart people who came from very unique backgrounds. I think my boss was working for NASA before he came to that company, and I had a couple other mentors who were formerly software engineers or data analysts and are now like data scientists or stuff like that. So they had a lot of unique experiences, and I wanted to absorb that experience from them and learn as much as I could as quickly as I could. And then third or lastly, I wanted to have some sort of conversion metric at the end, whether that be a full-time offer or a return offer as an intern or a promotion or a raise, whatever it might be. That was one of the targets I had. And like I said before, obviously this can mean different things to you guys depending on what you define as successful internship. But let's say for the sake of argument, let's say you're targeting to get a full-time offer, or you're just targeting to provide as much impact or value as possible. What I would do is find a problem that the company's facing in the first few weeks you're working there, during your onboarding or whatever, the first couple days you're there. Find a problem that the company's facing. Could be a small problem, could be a big problem, and try to solve it. Make that your goal. It could be your main goal or a side goal that you're working on outside of work or inside of work, but make that a priority of yours for that internship. Trust me, that's the best way to stand out, is solving problems. From my experiences and from my friends' experiences, I think I noticed that a lot of people enter internships with a small mindset, thinking that they can't really provide value or can't really solve big problems. Just because they're an intern, they don't really have that much experience, stuff like that. But I truly think from, having worked at a startup, having been an intern, and now hiring the intern, I think it's more of a symbiotic relationship. The company needs you as much as you need them. Just because, one, you need them because you want more experience, you want to learn, you want, a full-time position, whatever it may be. And they need you because they need cheap labor. They want to train someone for cheap and hopefully solve bigger problems like day-to-day tasks that they're struggling with that might just need more manpower or might need a technical brain or whatever it may be. And that's where you fit in. But yeah, essentially you are super valuable to companies, even as an intern. And I think it took me some rewiring and encouragement from my mentors and stuff like that to boost my confidence. I did end up targeting a pretty big problem in my company. It was a churn problem. I spent a lot of time focusing on how I can, tackle this problem. I know a lot of people tried to tackle it before, but there wasn't much success or it just got overlooked and stuff like that. So I decided to ask a couple people who I respected and I thought would give very valuable input on how I should tackle this problem, came up with my idea, redefined churn and all these things. And at the end of the day, I didn't completely solve the churn issue, but I definitely did help shine some light on it, reduced churn by a significant amount. And it's an ongoing project that I'm currently working on right now, even as a full-time employee. So yeah, I think the reason I got a full-time offer was mainly because of this project. It was a big project. It showed that I had confidence to tackle something big, and I had the ability, the independence to take on something this big without much supervision or hand-holding, which is really helpful for those of you who are interns. I wouldn't say the lesser help you need, the better. I would say the more you show the capability of learning yourself and understanding the systems of the company yourself, showing the initiative to want to explore new things yourself, the better it might be for your employer, your mentor, whatever it might be. Because the goal is for you to save their time, to provide value by saving their time, to provide value by solving company problems or solving day-to-day tasks that are annoying. So yeah, if you can do all three of these things, you're golden. You're probably going to get some sort of offer or some sort of raise or some sort of compliments, whatever it may be. So yeah, those are the few things that I think I would target. Find a problem. It could be big or small. Just make sure you follow it through. Just do the thing. But yeah, like I said before, it can be a super big problem that you're trying to solve that could take months or even a year, or a smaller problem that can take a couple weeks or 3 months for your internship period to accomplish it. So it doesn't matter really the magnitude of the problem. Obviously, the better you sell it, the better it's going to look for you on your resume or just within the company internally. But yeah, I think my recommendation is finding a thing that you can do throughout the internship to stay consistent and consistently do it. Show that you're curious, show that you're intentful and you're actually passionate about that project. And chances are you're going to learn a lot. You're probably going to be some sort of subject matter expert, and it's very hard to replace subject matter experts. So that's my advice for those of you who are entering internships this summer or this fall and are looking to find some sort of success. I think the best thing I did during my time as an intern was showcasing the desire to provide value by asking a lot of curious questions that came from thoughtful research and understanding our systems and asking a lot of other questions. So yeah, all these things just boil up to actually finding a problem that you're interested in solving, that you're curious to answer, and answering it. So why is all of this important? Why would you take my advice over the next guy? I personally think it's always going to be easier to learn from someone who's just 2 steps ahead of you rather than someone who's 10 steps ahead or 20 steps ahead, just because that distance can be very intimidating, and also it's probably not going to be fresh in their mind, not as relatable compared to someone who just did it. And they just made the mistakes that you're currently making, so it's more fresh and relatable to you. Stuff like that. It's much more easier to relate to someone who's very close to you compared to someone who's a lot further in terms of skill. I have a list of a couple people that I look up to and a couple mentors that are just a couple steps away from me in terms of finances, in terms of skills, in terms of career growth and stuff like that. And I think it's much easier for me to learn from those people rather than people like my dad or my professors who have 10 years of work experience, PhDs and stuff like that. It's a lot more complex to learn from someone who is trying to teach you a thing that they did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, rather than someone who just did it yesterday. So that's my ideology here. Hopefully my insight is more, relatable and closer to you guys, considering that I just did all this not too long ago. It's still fresh in my head, and the mistakes I made are, kind of fresh and documented on this channel. So yeah, that's why I think you should, take this advice. If you do choose to take this advice, please take it with a grain of salt. Make sure to implement it in your life in a way that works for you. Obviously, everyone is different. Everyone has different goals and different, ideologies and stuff like that. So make sure to take it with a grain of salt. Make sure to, be cognizant of what you choose to do and how this will impact your life. So hopefully you found some value from this video. Again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave them down below. I also highly recommend checking out the Discord server. It's going to be one of the first few links down below. There's going to be a lot more room for you guys to communicate and have intellectual discussions with a lot of like-minded people. So yeah, feel free to check it out. It's going to be one of the first few links down below. I'll see you guys there. And if you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like down below, and a subscribe would help the channel out a lot. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.